They call it a gut feeling, but that clinical term doesn't even begin to describe the visceral, bone-deep reality of it. It's that sudden, unexplained knot in your stomach that feels like a lead weight. The cold, invisible finger tracing a line down your spine. It's that persistent whisper in the darkest corridors of your mind that just repeats, something is wrong. Something is wrong. Something is. Science often tries to sanitize this by calling it our second brain, an ancient network of neurons in our gut that talks to our skull. It's a primal survival mechanism, sharpened over millions of years to detect the snap of a twig in the dark before our conscious mind even hears it. But in our modern world, we're taught to brush this off as just anxiety or stress. I was one of those people. I prided myself on cold logic, on tangible facts. I didn't believe in vibes or premonitions. I believed in what I could see, touch, and prove. But 3 years ago, on a mundane, overcast Tuesday, my instinct didn't just whisper. It screamed. It wailed like a siren, begging me to turn around, to leave, to run until my lungs burned. And I stayed. I chose the comfort of social convention over that ancestral chill. And that single decision didn't just change my life, it shattered the very foundation of who I thought I was. If you've ever felt that inexplicable urge to walk away from a situation that looked perfectly fine, and you ignored it just to be polite, this story is for you. Because I have to live with the suffocating consequences of my silence every single day. To understand why I stayed, you have to understand the desperation I was carrying. I was a freelance consultant. My bank account was a series of red numbers, and I had just landed a contract that felt like the ultimate break. The pay was triple my usual yearly salary for just one weekend of work. The client was an enigmatic, high-profile figure in the tech world. The task seemed simple. A weekend briefing at a private, secluded estate in the Pacific Northwest. The drive was 4 hours out of the city, a slow descent into another world. The familiar hum of skyscrapers gave way to the eerie silence of deep, old-growth forests. As the trees grew taller and more claustrophobic, the air inside my car started to feel heavy, almost pressurized, as if trying to push me back toward the city. My GPS began to glitch, the little blue arrow spinning aimlessly in circles. You know that feeling when the silence of nature stops being peaceful and starts feeling predatory? The feeling that the woods aren't just there, but are actively observing you. When I finally pulled up to the rusted, towering iron gates of the mansion, I froze. My hand was literally hovering over the gear shift, knuckles white, ready to slam the car into reverse and never look back. There was no monster in the driveway, no blood dripping from the porch. It was just a houseless, sprawling, decaying Victorian mansion with too many windows, looking like a giant stone beast exhaling a cold breath of mold and old secrets. My stomach did a slow, sickening flip. A sensation of dread so intense I felt bile rise in my throat. Leave, my mind commanded with a clarity I had never experienced. Go back to the city. Text them you're sick. Just put the car in gear and drive. But then, the rational voice, the one society trains us to prioritize, kicked in. Don't be a child, it whispered. You're just tired. This is the biggest paycheck of your life. Are you really going to ruin your future because of a bad mood or a creepy house? Think of the debt. Think of the prestige. I took a shaky breath, suppressed the nausea, and turned off the engine. The silence that followed was absolute. That was the first and most fatal mistake. I was met at the massive front door by a man named Elias. He was the embodiment of professional charm, perfectly tailored suit, soft voice, and a welcoming hospitality. But his eyes were a different story. Have you ever looked into someone's eyes and realized they were completely disconnected from the rest of their face? His mouth was smiling, but his eyes were flat, like two discs of dark glass, observing me more like a specimen than a guest. He didn't blink nearly enough. Throughout that first evening, the red flags were thin, almost invisible threads of wrongness. It was the way I noticed a heavy iron door in the hallway, dead-bolted from the outside. It was the way a conversation between two kitchen staffs stopped the millisecond I stepped into the room, replaced by a chilling, forced silence. It was the way Elias knew, tiny, intimate details about my childhood, things that weren't on my resume, things only a stalker would know. At dinner, the dread returned with a vengeance, a physical pressure on my lungs, making every breath feel like I was inhaling water. The dining room was filled with taxidermy dead things with glass eyes, all aimed directly at my chair. I looked at the heavy oak exit door, barely 20 feet away. I could have stood up, made an excuse about a migraine, and been in my car in 60 seconds. Why didn't I? Because of social etiquette. Because I was terrified of seeming weird, impolite, or unprofessional. We are conditioned from birth to be polite even when our very marrow is screaming that we are in the presence of a predator. We fear the minor embarrassment of a social faux pas more than we fear the actual loss of our lives. I sat there, picking at my food, while the predator sat across from me, smiling with teeth that looked too sharp for a human. Midnight arrived, and the house didn't settle. It seemed to wake up. I lay in the guest bed, staring at the ceiling, unable to close my eyes. The air in the room was vibrating with a low-frequency hum, a sound so deep it made my molars ache. That was when I finally decided to listen to my gut. The window of opportunity was no longer a window, it was a trap. I didn't care about the money anymore. I just wanted to feel the asphalt of the highway under my tires. I packed my bag in total darkness, moving with the frantic stealth of a ghost. I crept down the grand staircase, my heart hammering against my ribs. Every creak of the wood sounded like a gunshot. I reached the front door, the same one I had walked through hours earlier with such misguided confidence. I grasped the heavy brass handle and turned. It didn't budge. I tried again, putting my entire body weight into it. Locked, deadbolted from the outside. I ran to the library windows, my hands shaking, but they were reinforced with hidden steel bars. That scenic estate wasn't a retreat. It was a meticulously designed, high-end cage, and I had walked into it willingly because I didn't want to be rude. And then I heard it, the sound that still wakes me up in a cold sweat every single night. The sound of slow, deliberate footsteps walking down the hallway toward the room I had just vacated. They weren't the footsteps of someone checking on a guest. They were the heavy, confident thuds of someone who knew exactly where I was, someone who was enjoying the hunt. In that moment of pure, crystalline terror, the realization hit me like a physical blow. My instinct hadn't been a feeling. It had been a massive biological data dump, a final, desperate warning from 1 billion years of ancestors who only survived because they knew when to run. And by the time I finally decided to trust that wisdom, it was already too late. I survived that night, but not because I was smart or brave. I got out because of pure unearned luck, a service entrance left ajar by a panicked staff member, a momentary lapse in their security. But I didn't really leave that house whole. I left behind my sense of security, my ability to sleep without the lights on, and the version of myself that believed the world was a logical, safe place. I left a piece of my soul in that Victorian cage. Now, every day, I walk through the world and I see people doing exactly what I did. I see a woman hesitate at a dark elevator, her body leaning away, but she forces herself inside because she doesn't want to seem paranoid to the man already there. I see a businessman stay in a deal that makes his skin crawl because he has invested too much sunk cost to back out now without looking foolish. We have been socialized to fear being impolite more than we fear being extinguished. We suppress the most powerful survival tool we own in favor of looking normal to people who might mean us irreparable harm. If your brain is telling you to get out of a building, a relationship, or a contract, listen to it. Without hesitation, do not wait for proof. Do not wait for logic to catch up. Do not wait for a reason you can explain. Your body is a supercomputer that processes millions of inputs your conscious mind hasn't even noticed yet. It knows the truth long before you can put it into words. I ignored my instinct once, and I paid for it with my peace of mind. I live in a world of shadows now because I was too afraid to be rude to a monster. Don't let your politeness be your coffin. Trust your gut. It is the only thing in this world that is truly on your side. Thanks for watching.